All right. So on the sphere, on the cube rather, okay, these sides are all flat. This side, we started with this. I thought it was the most difficult, the sphere, because of the curved edges and everything else. This one is a little bit easier simply because it's flat, okay? But the idea is still the same. Shadow, it's going to be a number 5 value. It's going to be the darkest. This side, the light source is over here. So this side is going to go 4, 3, 2. The white, will probably be left for the top. And then it'll be a number 2 right here. And then this one will be pretty much number 4 because it is one flat side opposite the light source. Okay. So I'm going to start on this side right here. And I'm going to start going dark to light, not light to dark. And again, holding my pencil halfway back. So not choking up way like this. That allows me to put too much pressure too quickly. Hold back a little bit. And just start a simple hatching method going one direction, keeping my pencil on the paper. Gradually applying pencil. Cross hatching when I go a different direction. Notice I'm just going a little bit at a time. I'm not trying to do the whole thing. A little bit at a time, layers at a time. Because remember, I'm going to go dark to light, so I want to make sure that this starts to feel a little darker and then gradually move to the number 3 zone. The number 3 value, the middle gray. And I'm going to shade each one of these sides individually, independently. I'm not going to try to shade here and shade here at the same time by going across this line here. That would flatten my entire form. As you shade, your edges might disappear. And you can redefine them by just going over them a little bit. You don't want a huge outline all the way around, but you don't want your edges to disappear completely either. Particularly this edge, which changes from panel to panel. You can always go darker. It's a pain in the butt to try to go lighter if I've gone too dark, so go gradually. When I go to my number 2, my lightest value, I use the least amount of pressure that I can. And I keep my layers minimal. I don't want to do so many layers that it starts to get too dark here. It's like 1 or 2 layers at most. Very, very light. And a lot of times I'll use a feathering technique, which is just going one direction. And then trying to keep that transition gradual from dark to light. Now that number 4 is starting to come out a little bit. Okay, this side over here, okay, this opposite the light source is going to be number 4 all the way across. But I'm still going to start the same way, lightly at first, and then gradually add my layers. Oh, do not forget, I already forgot, but use a piece of paper over the other part of your drawing as to not make any smudges or smears. And we'll go still a little bit darker. Remember, now I know some of you have your blending sticks, okay? So this is not a very big piece. I wouldn't grab the biggest if you have a set, if you have different sizes. This is a medium size one. And remember that you don't use it like a pencil. Use it this way with your thumb underneath and your fingers on top. And I'm not pressing hard. I'm not making this darker. I'm making it smoother. And if I take this and start to press really hard, this whole thing will become one solid value, and I don't want that. I want to make sure that my values stay consistently, gradually getting lighter. If you don't have the blending sticks yet, don't worry about it. Continue to use your pencil and add layers, and you will be fine. If you do have your blending sticks, you can start using them, practicing with them. They look great if you're careful. They can also mess up your drawing if you're not careful. On top is going to be mostly light, but I'm going to put a number 2 value just in the corner here to show it gradually getting darker and lighter. Clean up my edges if I need to. Use a straight edge ruler if you need to. Keep those edges clean. And then, of course, the shadow down here is going to be a number 5, which is the darkest value we have. Your shadows go from opposite corner to opposite corner down to the left. If it goes off the page, that's okay. And I start out the same way. I'm going to go in the direction that the shadow is going, which is down to the left. Start off with a light layer. My strokes can be a little bit longer because this area is a little bit bigger. And then of course stop when you get to the edge of the panel. You can also crosshatch here and go side to side. I would not do a lot of up and down motions until you have a lot of value there. Once you have a lot of value there and it gets pretty dark, it doesn't matter. But if you go too dark this way, it'll just make it look like you're just dropping right off the page. If this is my number 4 and this is number 5, remember I'm not done with this until this becomes darker than that. And as you add values, or layers rather, and you don't see significant change, it is okay at this point to start adding additional pressure, but not too much pressure to the point where it starts to become shiny. Little blend. Go in the same direction, lightly, not pressing really hard. I'm just blending what's there. I'm not trying to make it too much darker. That I do with the pencil. You will surprise yourself at how dark you can go. And the number one problem that young artists have is not going dark enough. One thing that I've said many times repeatedly over the years is simply go darker. It's too light. If it doesn't pop off the page, if it has no contrast between the white background and the form itself, you need to spend a little bit more time going darker. Sometimes you can just lift a little bit of value out with your kneadable eraser. Very important tool to have. Clean up your edges. Clean them up. Do not outline them necessarily. You don't want a real dark edge if there's no dark value next to it. Now, typically, shadows are just all black, okay? You can play around with yours. It is a drawing after all. You still have to see the edge where the form ends, and Sometimes, even though shadows are black, like I said, you can still play around with the gradation a little bit. Maybe it gets, you know, not that it would physically in the real world, but if it gets a little bit lighter towards the corner, that's okay. It's just giving you a little bit of practice with your values. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to get caught up if you fell a little bit behind. At 9:15, we'll reconvene and start working on the cylinder.